the good news is Trump's prediction for 2018, the transaction volume will be higher than 2017. The number of transactions reported in 2017 is 92,000 plus. This year, we will have a 5% increase around 95,000. Okay? So, I know from April last year until now, lots of people are kind of, depressed. Every time they see me, they say, no client not buying, they no business. First of all, I'm very happy to see so many people today. I met with a couple of people and then I talk and say, the big thing today is we are able to attract, to see so many people come out in such a snowy morning. I think last night Trump said we should clap here for ourselves. 我们应该为我们自己鼓掌。今天早上我看到那个 talk show 是 every few seconds Trump always clap back himself。但是我拿着话筒没办法我自己 clap 我自己。Second, I want to say, most agents here are new, but we do have quite a percentage agent has gone through researching in 2008 to 2009, and some agents, even senior than me, they have gone through 1989 to 1995 that session. Okay? My impression is this. From April 21st until now, the market is slowing down, but that is not the end of the world. That's lovely music. And Trump emails will have to be open to public. I received an email yesterday from EZI, which is one of our sponsors. That is not end of our real estate agent. Do not worry. What we really need to do is continue focusing on what we're supposed to do. That is marketing. That is do whatever we should do, advertisement, get more clients, prospecting. That's why we host the seminar today. I just want you to know that we will regularly host such training every month in our office. So please come out. Next time, do we have a breakfast or not? I need to really think about that. But we will have something different for you. For the housekeeping, first of all, we will start with one of the best builder presentation, Tradell. Tradell will briefly talk about the project in Leslie and Eglinton. And then we'll have the presentation by Bruce. And once again, if you have your card handy, please leave your card to the lucky draw box. If you do not do so yet, so I will bring the box to the back, and then you can leave the card there. We will have a lucky draw at 1 o'clock.
And the Tradell luxury living style, but yes, okay, you walk 4 minutes, okay, walk down to the station, and in a few minutes, in a few stations, you're already Young and Edmonton, and you're already downtown. The Parkland system. This is basically the view, okay, when you're looking at south and west. Okay, that is the Sunnybrook Park, the Edwards Garden. Okay, everybody know about that. And it used to be the Inn on the Park. So that's why it is the prime location of North York. And we've been waiting until now. It is a very good time to launch it because the LRT is coming also. So a lot of people have been waiting for Tradell Okay, we've been in the sales office for years, and a lot of our repeated Royal customer, they already approach us by themselves and say that, hey, Tridel, we've been waiting for you to come here. We knew that, okay, it will be a Tridel building, but we've been waiting. We would like to call this our home. The LRT, okay, so this is from the Metrolinx website. So you can just go to Metrolinx, you get all the information about it.
It's gone, right? Okay, so we got to get to work. Okay, so let's get started. And as I say, I need 3 hands, so I'll do my best to work through this, and we'll get everything set up. The first part, and you'll see it in your workbook, talks about this little book here. So let me explain this book, U Squared. I came across this a few years ago. And I want you to think of this little metaphor. This is it. It's not very big, right? And what he tells at the start of the book, the author, Price Pritchett, tells a story about being at a meeting, a business meeting, and working by himself in his room. And he had the door open at the back of his room, so it was like maybe from here to the wall, right? He had the door open, and he's looking out the window, and the window is looking out at this beautiful garden with trees and everything else. And he said, right in the middle of me doing my work, as I'm looking out the window, I realized, he said, there's a fly in my room buzzing up against the window trying to get out. Psst, 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 psst. You guys get the picture? And he said, the fly is on a mission of suicide because the fly is going to die. The fly is not going to be strong enough to break through the window, right? Makes sense? So he said, the fly is doomed. But the fascinating thing is, he said, is if the fly just turned around, now you guys know where I'm going here, if the fly just turned around and did a 180-degree turn and flew out the door, it could have everything it wanted. Does that make sense? Well, think about how that affects us. Think about how we operate, and think about, are we going to keep trying to fly through the window and end up dying, or are we going to turn around and do some things a little bit differently? You guys, is this making sense? So what I want to help you with today is I'm going to show you 7 ideas on how to fly out the door. In other words, 7 ideas on how to do things differently. So are you up for that? Okay, I'm not expecting you to take all 7 of them on. What I do in my business of training and coaching, like I sold real estate for a long time, but now that I'm doing this, and I've been doing it for many years, what I see most of the time is you have to understand something. How many people here, so I'll ask you a question, how many people here want to do more business in 2018 than they did in 2017? Let me just see who they are. Right. Okay, and the rest of you are either asleep or you won the lottery last night. Which is it? But you guys with me? So most of us want to do a little bit more. It doesn't mean you had a bad year last year. It just means that you want more, correct? Okay, perfect. And it doesn't mean you're greedy. It just means that you're entitled to more because you're going to do more things. So we're going to look at 7 ideas on how to make that happen. So my plan has 7 steps in it. Now, Tony has asked me to come in and do a seminar with Home Life Landmark every month. We're going to do a seminar every single month, and the next one is, I think it's on February 22nd. We'll get the information out to you, but I'm going to be showing you new information every time. So like somebody said to me this morning, I saw you here last year. Is this the same stuff? No. It isn't the same stuff. You know why it's not the same stuff? Because I would get bored giving you the same stuff over and over and over again. I mean, wouldn't that be dumb? So we're not going to do that, right? And the seminar we do next month in February is actually all about lead generation. In other words, how do I generate more leads? That's not what today's about. Today's about the big picture for your business. So, shall we get started? Perfect. Okay. So I want you just to understand how this workbook that you've got in your hand, there's going to be fill in the blanks there. Now the fill in the blanks, there's answers at the back end of the book if you need them. The first step is, and you'll see it there, it says, step number 1, jump in with both feet. Everybody got that? You all there? Great, okay, great. So the first slide that I want to talk to you about, so this is point number 1 in your book, point number 1. It says, make an exciting commitment. So you have to sign up and commit to succeed. So you see down here, this is the fill in the blank. And every slide where there's a fill in the blank, you'll see it at the bottom right-hand corner. Can you guys see that okay? Can you guys in the back read that all right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So you've got to commit to succeed. Well, you say, well, Bruce, I did that before I came here. I knew that. Okay, well, let me give you a story here. Back in 1578, there was the king of Spain said to his explorers, he said, I want you to go out and find some gold. I want some gold. So he went out and he said to his guys, okay, go out and find gold for me. So they took off in their boats in 1578, and they went to what ended up being South America, Brazil. And when they got there, they landed on the shore, like they rowed their boats in. They got there, and they went looking for gold. Well, it turned out that the natives that welcomed them didn't welcome them very long. They got in a big fight, and the natives started killing them, and they chased them back into their boats, and they went all the way back to Spain with no gold. Well, you guys know that story. So the king said, okay, where's my gold? And they said, well, we didn't get any gold. He said, you didn't get any gold. I sent you to get gold. Go back and get some gold, and don't come back without it. So they went back again. This time, when they got to the shore of Brazil in South America, the captain said, okay, let's row our boats ashore. And they started rowing ashore. And then he said, now turn around and look. And what did they see behind them, the guys that were rowing to shore? He had burned all the boats, right, Sam? He burned them all. So why did he burn the boats? So that they didn't have any choice. Make sense? That's what I want to help you guys with this year. I want you to make sure that we've got a program in place that you burn the boats so you don't have any choice but to succeed. Does that make sense? So I don't want you to go home and burn your house down. I just want you to be committed. Is that a deal? Okay, so let me show you a couple of ideas around that. For example, the first thing I want you to do, so this is point number 2. So you'll see you're now making a commitment. So point number 2, I'm asking you to fill in 2 things. I'm asking you to fill in, number 1, how many deals you're going to do this year, how many deals you're going to do, and number 2, I'm going to ask you to fill in how much money that's going to be. So, can you guys do that? Fill in the number of deals you're going to do, and the number and how much money that's going to be. Now, if you don't start at that point, you're not really making a commitment. It'd be sort of like somebody saying, well, you're kind of fat. Well, I'm going to lose some weight. Well, how much are you going to lose? Well, I don't know. I'll just lose a few pounds. That's my business. It's none of your business. And nothing happens. So I want to make sure that you're really committed. So has everybody got a number written down? And for those of you that are a little bit embarrassed and you say, well, I don't want the people beside me to know what my number is, don't worry about them. They're worried about you looking at their number, okay? So forget about it. All right? Everybody got numbers? Please say yes. Okay, if you don't have any numbers, put something down. It doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be a commitment. right? Like you don't go to a wedding and you stand up at the altar to get married and they say, so do you take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife? You say, oh, maybe, I don't know, I'm not sure. You don't do that. I want you to be committed. Okay, is that the deal? Perfect. Okay, the next step is then to say, okay, I want you to prepare a 3-month commitment for February, March, and April. So think about this for a second. Anybody ever, well, let me give you an example. If we said we were going to do 36 deals in 2018, 36 deals, and somebody said, okay, but that's a bit scary. Well, that works out to 3 deals a month. That works out to 1 deal a week with a freebie somewhere thrown in, right? 3 deals a month. So what's more scary, 36 deals or doing 1 deal a week? 36 deals is a lot more scary. That's why you want to break this down. So we won't take time to do it today, but what I'm going to ask you to make sure you do, think about this for a second. You want to be sure that you know how much business you're going to do in February. Don't worry about March, don't worry about April, just think about February. Make sense? Okay, perfect. Now, I want you guys to know, I'm in the same boat. I'm in exactly the same boat as you guys, as everybody's the same way. I've got my goals, and when I look at them, sometimes I think to myself, that's scary. I don't know if I'll ever be able to do that. But if I look at it and I think, okay, here's what I have to do this month, here's what I have to do today, is that easier, yes or no? Can't hear you, yes or no? It is easier. Okay, by the way, you guys are going to get to know the way I operate. I want you to be involved. I want you to have fun with this, and I want you to be able to be reactive. So it is easier to deal with a smaller target. Yes or no? Yes. Perfect. Thank you. Okay. Let's go now. We're still on the first point about making the big commitment. Like throw your hat over the fence and make sure that you're jumping in with both feet. Now, you see those 5 categories that you'll have to target. You can do that later today. Figure that out. But make sure you know exactly what you want to accomplish this month for February. Okay. Next point. Next point says for you to use a whiteboard. So put up a whiteboard in your office. Now don't forget, you have to keep track of what you're doing. So you put the whiteboard up and you track what you want to do. So for example, if I had this whiteboard here, let's pretend over here, so just work with me on this. We've got a whiteboard on the wall in our office. On this side here, on this side, you're going to put down those targets we talked about for February. How many listing appointments, how many listings taken, listings sold, and buyer sales. Those kind of targets, right? Say, well, I'm going to go on 4 appointments, I'm going to take 2, and I'm going to sell 1. That would be on this side of the whiteboard. Everybody got the idea? Make sure it's visual. You want to be able to look at it every single day because it'll remind you what you got to do. On this side of the whiteboard, you'll put down your best leads. You'll put down all your best leads. You might have 4 people, and you would put down their names and when you're going to be in touch with them. Does this make sense so far? Now, a lot of people say, well, Bruce, that's kind of old-fashioned. I put that on my phone, or I put that on my computer. I'm not saying you don't do that. I'm just saying visual is a lot more powerful. Does that make sense? Every time you walk in and you look at it, you think, geez, I got to get going. Now, think about this idea, for example. If you want to do 3 deals in the month, remember we talked about that person doing 36 deals? Home Life Landmark has got a lot of high producers. So if we look at 36 deals, you'd say 3 this month. You should have, so this is a rule for you. If I was coaching you, this is exactly what we'd be looking at. You should have 6 names written down here. You need 2 names for every 1 deal you want to do. Now, if you said, well, Bruce, it's just the start of the month. I don't have my 6 names. What do you have to do? Well, you got to go out and find them. That's the business we're in. So like Tony and I have been discussing, and Dave, what we talked about is next session we do in February, it's going to be about lead generation. How do I find those 6 leads? I know you've got some ways of doing it now. We're just going to expand on that. Okay. Last point, or sorry, second last point. The other thing you can do is put a thermometer on the wall. And by the way, you can buy this from Amazon. If you get in touch with Amazon, if you just Google it, you'll get one of these thermometers, and you put down 36 at the top. So you put 36 at the top, and every time you do a deal, what should you do? Cross one off, right? And you keep working up. It's really exciting. Now, and then all of a sudden you think, geez, I'm getting ahead of the game, or if I'm falling behind, I'm going to have to pick it up. Is this making sense? So what I want you to be comfortable thinking about is, this is called running your business like a business. It's just not getting up in the morning and hoping the phone rings. Okay, last point for jumping in with both feet. By the way, are you guys okay filling in these blanks? You keeping up all right? Okay, don't forget, in this one, the answers are at the back. Okay? All right, good stuff. Last one. You should plan a reward for how you're doing in that 90-day period. So we've got February, March, and April. You say, okay, if I'm going to do 9 deals by end of February, March, and April, I should plan a reward for me and my family. Like maybe we go to New York City, or we go to Great Wolf Lodge, or we go to Mexico, or whatever. But plan something so that you've got something to look forward to. That way, you'll be driven, and guess what? How many people here sometimes wake up in the morning and think, I don't feel like it today? Anybody ever feel that way? If you haven't got your head up, you're either asleep right now, or your nose is growing, because I'll guarantee everybody sometimes, right? And that's okay. But this reward idea will keep you motivated. So there's another thing you can do. Now here's the point. You won't be able to walk away from my seminars, whatever seminars I'm doing, you won't be able to walk away from my seminars saying I could do everything in Bruce's book. It's all there, I'm going to do everything. You can't do it all. Just pick the things that appeal to you and start doing. Remember about the fly? Remember about flying out the door instead of trying to bang through the window? Just pick some of these things and start doing them. Fair enough? So you can start marking off the things you'd say, I don't like that one, I don't like that one, but I like that one. Start doing it, okay? All right, perfect. Now before we go any further, just for those of you that don't know me, I've been in the Toronto market for a long time. I sold real estate in Newmarket and Aurora and Richmond Hill with my wife Gloria for, I don't know, 10 or 11 years. We did pretty well. We sold like just over 1,000 homes in those 10 or 11 years. And we were selling 100 to 125 homes a year, every year for the last 4 or 5 years. So anything I share with you today is stuff that I've done myself or stuff that I know works. The next 18 years, I've been a coach and a trainer and doing what I'm doing now. So, for example, all day yesterday, I coached people. A lot of them are from the Toronto market. All day, right from 8 o'clock till 4:30. And bang, 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 half-hour segments. That's what I was doing. So I'll be sharing with you some of the things they're doing and some of these ideas. The other thing is that recently I was named by Inman News. So Inman News, if you ever check it out, inmannews.com is an online newspaper in the States for real estate agents actually. And they named the top 25, what they call the 25 best coaches in the real estate business, and I'm on that list. So the only reason I'm telling you that is I won't be wasting your time with stuff that doesn't work. Fair enough? Okay, good. Thank you. Maybe I should quit right now. That was pretty good. Okay, thanks. Second point. you have to decide what's it going to take for me to do my deals. What's the price I'm going to have to pay? And then you have, once you decide that, you decide, am I going to pay the price? So the first one is a fairly simple bottom line item. So just write this down. Your activities must equal your goals. Stay away from fantasy land. Be realistic. Your activities must equal your goals. So for example, if someone wanted to, I'll make a simple one. Someone wanted to save money for their daughter's university education, and they felt that they had to save $500 per deal until she's old enough to go to university. $500 a deal, I'm supposed to put it aside. Well, you need, I don't know, I'll pick a number. You need $40,000 to send her to university for 3 or 4 years, whatever. So you'd say, okay, $500 a deal. Well, if you don't put the money aside, what happens when she asks you for the money for university? You don't have it, right? Your activities didn't equal your, what? Goals, right? Okay, so when I say activities must equal your goals, I'm going to make it very clear to you what your activities have to be in order for you to be successful in real estate. So let's keep going. The next one says that there's really only 5 money-making activities in real estate. So when I said, hang on for a sec, when I said, where's Lawrence? Lawrence, way at the back? Lawrence, when I said your activities must equal your goals, I was talking about these 5 activities. And you can see the list there. Lead follow-up, showing property, lead generation, making listing presentations, and negotiating offers. That's pretty simple, right? Those are the 5 things. Now, you'd say, well, Bruce, I know that. Okay, what you don't know is you should target to spend 80% of your time on those 5 activities. Now, that's not easy. So, and I can remember fighting with that myself, thinking, geez, Bruce, that's ridiculous. 80%, I've got to drive over there and pick up this waiver, and I've got to order the sign for that, and I've got to phone that stupid other agent from across town who doesn't know anything about real estate and straighten them out, and all that stuff we got to do, right? That's fine, but 80% of your time needs to be on the big 5. So how do we do that? Well, you've got to make sure you focus on what are the real things you've got to do. One of them, for sure, is the next point, and it says that you've got to go back to basics and realize that you need to know how many contacts you need to make every day to be successful. Now, when I say a contact, I'm talking about a conversation with a decision-making adult where you ask for business. Now, you might be asking them for business for yourself, right, for them, or you might be asking for a referral, but you are asking about business. It isn't just talking to somebody at the grocery store and hoping they remember that you're in real estate, right? Like, we've all done that. You think, has anybody, okay, let me ask you guys, have you ever driven by a house and they got somebody else's sign on the lawn, but it doesn't say Home Life Landmark, and you thought you were going to get the listing? Anybody ever had that happen? Come on, you guys never had that happen to you? Yes. It happened to me all the time. Well, until I figured out how to stop it. But the reality is that happens because we don't ask for business enough. So, this point here says, I've got to make sure I know how many contacts I make every day. So I will tell you this, everybody. If you intend to do anywhere from 10 to 15 deals a year, 10 to 15 deals a year, then you need to make a minimum of 10 contacts a day, 5 days a week. 10 contacts, 5 days a week. If you're going to do anything from 15 or more, you should be making 20 contacts a day minimum. 10 a day, 20 a day. Well, Bruce, that could take me 2 or 3 hours. Yeah, that's right. But remember, that's the price you have to pay. But think about this. If you sold 24 houses in this market, I'm talking about the GTA, if you sold 24 houses and you had to make 20 contacts a day to make that happen, you would earn somewhere in the vicinity of $250,000, right? 24 deals should give you pretty close to $250,000. Am I right? Absolutely. Don't you think it'd be worth 3 hours a day prospecting to make that happen? Please say yes. Yes. Absolutely. Like, there's all kinds of people in this business. Well, think about this. There's all kinds of people in your office that aren't even at this seminar. You've got one of the biggest offices in captivity. It's huge. What do you got? Over 1,300 agents now, right? It's amazing. Well, there's a lot of people in our business that don't work the way they're supposed to work. So all I'm just reminding you of is there's a price to pay, but my goodness, for $250,000, how many of you guys know somebody else that isn't in real estate, that a friend or a relative that makes $250,000? Not very many, right? There's only a few of them. Well, in our business, it doesn't take that much, but you've got to be consistent. Okay. A couple more things on the price you have to pay. What's it going to take? Point number 10 says that you really should be doing the mornings for your prospecting to get it out of the way. Please don't fight me on this. Just do it in the morning and get it done. And don't worry about people not being home. I'm going to cover that in a second, but I will tell you right now that if you don't do it in the morning, what happens? Be honest here. Be honest. If you don't do your prospecting in the morning, what happens? It doesn't get done. You get, what's your first name? Harnell? You get interrupted and you start doing other stuff, right, Harnell? Exactly. Does that make sense? It doesn't mean you're lazy. It doesn't mean you're screwed up. It just means you get distracted. Do it in the morning. So, I'm suggesting to you that from 9 to 12, you say, I've already got an appointment. My appointment is called prospecting. So that's one price you want to pay. Next, you've got to make sure that you have a good lead follow-up system. So this is point number 11. Point number 11. So I've got 4 components for you for lead follow-up. Number 1 says that you have to separate your 30-day leads from the rest. Separate your 30-day leads from the rest. Why would you keep them separate? Because if you don't keep them separate, what happens is they get mixed in, and then somehow they get shuffled, and you end up maybe not calling them when you're supposed to. Has anybody ever had something like that happen where they didn't call somebody when they were supposed to, and it was too late when they finally did call them? It happens all the time. Sure. Okay, the second thing is, excuse me, I gotta walk over here for a second. The second thing is, you really should put your 30-day leads on paper, okay? And the example I'm going to use here is what I've done in the past and what I've got all my coaching clients doing. You take your 30-day leads and you put them on hot pink paper. Now, if you look at the back of your workbook, what you'll see, I put in there a blank lead sheet that you can use, okay? Right at the back. It's a lead sheet that shows that it's the same as this, except it's not pink. So you go to Staples and say, give me 20 of these on the copy that you guys have got. What's the benefit of it being on hot pink or green or whatever color you choose? What's the benefit? They don't get lost, right? They jump off your desk. I have a coaching client in Vancouver by the name of Stu Graham, and he told me that was one of the best tips he's ever got from me. I've been coaching him for a long time. He said, that's one of the best tips ever. He says, now I don't lose my stuff. So that's the second thing. Put them on paper, and put them on hot pink paper. The third one, every lead should have an exact follow-up date. I don't care if it's a 12-month lead or if it's a 2-day lead, everybody should have a follow-up date. Because if you don't have a date, then we generally call them later instead of earlier. Does that make sense? we generally put the time off a little bit. And then the last thing is, make sure there's a 30-minute time slot in your daily schedule for lead follow-up. Like, put it in there. So for me, it was always 11:30 to 12 that I did the lead follow-up. And then if I didn't reach them, call them later that night. Okay? A couple of times. Now, I'm not saying, remember I said prospect in the morning? I'm not saying you don't prospect other times of the day, but I'm saying get the bulk of your prospecting out of the way early. Once you do that, and then you've got a time slot for lead follow-up, you don't miss them. So, I had a guy that I coached yesterday, as a matter of fact. He's fairly new in the business, and he said, I'm a little concerned about following up with so-and-so, whoever we were talking about one of his leads, and I was coaching him on what to do. And he said, I'm a little concerned, he said, because he said, I don't want to be too aggressive. I don't want to upset them. You guys have probably felt that way sometimes, but I will tell you this, when you've got a date written down of when you're supposed to follow up with them, you stick with that date. Because here's what I told the guy on the coaching call, and it makes sense. The amount of business we lose by overcalling is way smaller than the amount of business we lose by undercalling. Does that make sense? It's always that way. We might lose this much business because somebody gets upset. Well, guess what? If they're upset, what does that say about their motivation? Is it high or low? If they're upset because we've called them too much, in their mind, it's because they're not that motivated, right? So our job is to keep after them in a good way, help them. That's our job, is to help them. But if they don't want to be helped, then they're not motivated. So don't take them out of the car. Fair enough? Okay. Yeah, point number 12. I like this. You see the line there? No one is coming to the rescue. No one is coming to the rescue. It's up to you to do lead generation and lead follow-up every day. So this second point, this whole point that we're talking about, which is what's it going to take? It's going to take you being committed to lead generation and lead follow-up every day. Make sense? Now, some of you may say, well, I do my lead generation through social media and I do it other ways. And that's fine. I'm not telling you not to do that, but you still have to follow up with these people, right? You still got to get in touch with them at some point. You're not going to drive in and say, where do I sign? I haven't seen it yet, but I'll sign. You have to do it on your own. Okay. Next point. So we move on to number 3. You guys okay? We've covered two of the ideas now for how to boost your business. So look at the third one now. The third one says, who am I going to go after? So you guys can see the sequence here. The first one was make the commitment, burn the boats. The second one was understand what I have to do. And the third one is, who am I going to go after? So let's cover that a little bit. First of all, point number 13. Just look at the list here and it says, who are your best sources of business right now? So if you look at that list, excuse me for pointing, gentleman right there with the blue shirt, right there. Sorry for pointing at you. Yeah, you. Yeah, that's you, right? What's your best source of business right now? If you were gonna say, where I get my business, what's your first name, sir? Terry? Larry. Okay, so Larry, what's your best source of business? Referrals. Okay. So guys, ladies, look at the first one on the list. That's Larry's best source. Past clients and centers of influence. It's people sending in business, right? You're a good-looking guy, nice person, nice smile. Besides, he's got a full head of hair. He's gonna be fine, okay? Okay. So that's his best source of business. So Sam, what's your best source of business? Past clients, still at the top of the page, okay? Somebody on this side. one of those nice ladies over there. What's your best source of it? Go ahead. Internet leads and social media. Perfect. That's exactly it. Is that everybody's got their own special areas they should go after. I just want to make sure that you're going after them enough. So you should put a check mark. Each of you should put a check mark. Larry, put a check mark beside referrals. Sam, put a check mark beside past clients, etc. And have at least 2 check marks so you know where you're going to get your business. By the way, let me ask you guys a question. I need your help here. I'm not used to using a hand mic. Are you guys able to hear me okay? Am I spitting all over you? No? Okay. Are you guys all covered in spit? Okay, I promise I won't come over there, okay? Okay, good. Number 14. It says you work the best, those 2 first of all. But here's an important thing. The lady that said social media and internet leads, what's your first name, please? Mushka? Mushan? Mushan. Okay, sorry, Mushan. I don't want to call your name, okay? Anyway, this is a very important point as it relates especially to what you're doing. And for that matter, for referrals and past clients, it's all the same boat. You still have to make personal contact. So when you do your follow-up, make sure that it isn't by just sending an email or a text and you never talk to them. Because at some point, why is it important that we talk to them or meet with them at some point? They don't get the connection the same way. Now, I realize that some people don't want to talk to you, but eventually they're going to have to. I just want to make sure you recognize, don't lose sight of the value of personal contact, okay? And I don't want you sitting there saying, well, Bruce, you're an old man, you don't understand, the world has changed. Look, I'm dealing with this every single day with people that are 22 years old in the business. It's okay, I understand it, and I agree with you. At the same time, you still got to touch base with them periodically. Okay, the next one. So where else are you going to go for business? Look at this one here. Point number 15. Don't forget your old leads and some old expireds, if you've got old expireds in your files. Don't forget that. So when people say to me, where do I go for business right now? If every single one of you, if I was coaching you, so Larry, if I was coaching you and you said, Bruce, I need some business, where do I get it right now? My very first source that I would suggest you go after, the very first one, would be your old leads. Now, when I mean old leads, I just mean calling up somebody and saying, hey, it's Larry calling from Home Life Landmark. We haven't talked in a while. Now, it could be 2 years, but they don't know. They haven't been keeping track. We haven't talked in a while, and you were talking about buying a condo. Did you folks ever do that? You were talking about moving from your townhouse to King City. Did you folks ever do that? That's a lead follow. Sorry, that's an old lead. But I will guarantee you, every time I've asked people to do that, and every time I did that myself, it was amazing. There's always something in there. There's always one little nugget in there. So if you don't do anything else from this seminar that Tony set up for you, make sure when you go back to your office, you go through your old leads, blow the dust off them, right? We all have them. And phone them up, because you'd be amazed at how things might have changed. Oh no, he was an idiot. He said he was never going to do anything. Call him anyway. Stuff changes. Okay? All right, next. Last one on that one is do what you fear. You know what most people fear to do? If we go back to Larry's point, most people are afraid to ask for referrals. Most people are afraid to ask for referrals. That's a fear. Most people have, or a lot of people have trouble cold calling. A lot of people have trouble on the listing presentation actually asking people to sign the paperwork. Everybody has their fears. Would you guys agree? We've all got them, right? Some of you are afraid that I'm going to be up here for 4 hours and you're going to fall asleep. That was a joke. I'm not going to be here for 4 hours, okay? but we all have this. So what I want you to recognize is what you fear to do is what you should do more than anything else. So one of the things that I've done, we have a card. I've got a table. You know all the tables out there for the various displays. We're at the far end, okay? And I've got a card on there that has 3 little scripts on it, just 3 little ones that address some of those things. So when we're done, go pick one up. I mean, I've got stuff to sell there, but you don't have to buy anything. Just pick one of those cards up, and that will help you with some of these issues about what you fear. So think of what you are, think for this year, what am I afraid of doing, and make sure you do it. It could be, I'm afraid of getting up early because then I might get busy and then I'll have too much work to do. Well, guess what? If that happens, then you get rid of the crappy leads and you just work with the good ones, the ones that are on the hot pink paper. These guys, right? Okay. Sorry, I just checked my notes. That was so now we're going to step number 4. Why should they choose you? Why should they choose you? Well, first of all, think about the concept here in point number 17. Why should they choose you? Point number 17 says, they should choose me because I'm different. Now, it's our job to make sure they understand that you're different, because they can't tell that you're different just by looking at you, generally speaking. They just think you're different if you point out to them what's different about you. So that's why people will pick you. So let's look at, so one of the reasons, like think about this. Why would somebody be at Home Life Landmark? Well, because they're different. They do this kind of an event. You know, I earn a lot of my living doing seminars. I love doing seminars. I love working with people like you that are involved, that are committed, that are taking notes, that are saying, I want to learn, I want to grow. Okay. Well, there's lots of brokerages don't do this stuff. As a matter of fact, most of them don't do this stuff. That's why Home Life Landmark has 1,300 agents. And that's why you guys are going to have a successful year, because of this type of seminar and because of the one we're going to do in February on lead generation in March and April and May. You're going to learn so much, you're going to be way ahead of your competition. That'll make you different. So look at the next point. Point number 18 says, here's how you show them that you're different. You use a 2-step formula. Number 1 is you present your product, the product you offer. And your product is your, what's it say? Marketing plan. Now think about this. I'm not just talking about listings, I'm talking about buyers. If I was coaching you, I'd be showing you a marketing plan for sellers, and I'd be showing you a marketing plan for buyers. And what you would then end up with is something you could show them that steps you out from the normal real estate agent. Now the second step is you've got to sell the value. I'm going to show you a little bit about that in a second. But you've got to sell the value of your marketing plan. So here's a critical question. Look at number 19. Sorry, hang on for a second. That was 18, right? Okay, number 19. If you don't sell the value of what you have to offer, no one's going to buy it. So we've got 2 cars here. Who manufactures both those cars? Mercedes-Benz, right? They're both cars. They'll get you from here to the Rogers Center downtown. They'll both do it. One of them has more value. Which one has more value? Well, obviously the one on the right. So you'd say, well, that's obvious. Well, you see, here's the difference, everybody. It isn't obvious when we walk in the door or when they meet with us. Isn't that right? Like if we lined up 3 real estate agents, one beside each other, and you said, okay, which one has more value to offer you? You couldn't tell, right? It's our job to sell that value. So let me show you an example. Here's point number 20. And I'll just give you this is just a quickie. This is a little script that comes from our material, okay? So let's say you were doing a listing presentation and you were making it a point and you're saying that one of the things you're going to do, doesn't mean you would have this in your plan, I'm just going to use this as an example. One of the things you're going to do is you're going to door knock the neighborhood around where they want to buy and see if there's anybody that might be going to sell their house but hasn't listed it yet. So that's the feature you're bringing. So look at these 4 questions in point number 20. The first question says, so this is you selling your value. And I would teach you how to do this, so don't worry, you don't have to memorize it. I don't believe in memorizing scripts. I mean, how many people love memorizing scripts? Nobody. I don't want you to memorize it. I just want you to get the idea of how you could do this. So now I'm gonna role play it for you. Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, tell me something. How important is it to you that when you hire an agent, that you hire somebody that's going to do some extra work to get your home sold? In other words, that's going to find that extra buyer. Well, I thought that's what all you guys did. That's important. That's what I'm hiring you for. Perfect. Because when you hire me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to door knock all the houses in our area here just to see who else might know somebody that's planning on moving in. This is a nice neighborhood. Everybody likes it here. They may have relatives that want to move in here. Isn't that the kind of extra activity you'd be looking for? Well, I guess so. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, the benefit to that is it's going to give you more people to come to see your house. The more people that see your house, the more money we'll get. Isn't that what you're looking for? Yep. Great. So, here's the important thing. Most agents won't do what I just described. It does work. But why do you think most agents won't get out there and do that hard work that I just described that I'm going to do for you when you list your house with me? I don't know. Well, it's because it's hard work. But here's the best part. Why do you think I do it? Well, I'm not sure. Well, because it works. We're going to find you an extra buyer or two that way. Isn't that what you want? Yep. Okay, so what would you rather have? An agent that's going to sit in the office and do nothing and wait for the phone to ring? Or me, who's going to get out there and do the hard work and find you that extra buyer? What would you rather have? Well, I want the extra work. Great. Are you starting to see why so many people hire me and why my office at Home Life Landmark sells so many homes? Yeah, kinda. Great. And then you go on with whatever the next one is. But are you guys starting to get the idea about this? This is all about you selling what you do. Other agents do what I just described, but nobody sells it that way. When you do it that way, they really get the idea of how special you are. You're selling your value. So that's part of why should they choose you. Okay, is this making sense? Okay, now anybody in this room can do this. If we practice that for 5 minutes, you can do exactly the same thing. And you'd say, well, that isn't something that I would do. Well, no, but you have other features in your marketing plan that you would do. That's what we go out and promote. Okay, next one. This is point number 21. The absolute key is your delivery. If you're not excited, if you're not pumped up, then there's no enthusiasm and they won't feel that way either. So the absolute key is you have to practice. Now I just want to show you a little book that I brought here. Now the reason I've got Abraham Lincoln and Margaret Thatcher and Martin Luther King up there is because they were fantastic at delivering, right? Well, I've got this little book here. It's called The Presentation Secrets of Steve Jobs, and it was all about Steve Jobs being such an amazing presenter. And he was, you know, when he had a new product to announce and everything, he practiced for 6 weeks. I learned this from this book. It's an amazing book, by the way. And you'd say, well, Bruce, you make your living as a presenter. No, you guys make your living as a presenters too. You're presenting all the time. Even if you were just talking to one client on the phone, you are presenting. Am I right? Absolutely. So what Steve did was practice for 6 weeks before he did his big presentations. I'm suggesting we've got to do the same thing. The key is in your delivery. It isn't just what you bring to the table, it's how you deliver it. Make sense? So if I got up here and said, well, good morning, my name is Bruce, and Tony asked me to come in here and talk to you, so it's snowing out, you may as well stay inside. You guys got a pen there? We'll make some notes, and if you like this stuff, that's good. Okay, way we go. I hope you're excited. You'd be going, I'm not standing for this guy, right? This sucks. What the heck is Tony thinking about hiring that bozo, right? I hope he didn't have to pay him. Well, he did, so I better do a good job. Would you guys agree? Okay, good. All right. It's all about your enthusiasm. Okay, let me stop for half a second. How are we doing here? Are we making progress? Are you starting to get some ideas of things you can do that would be different this year? Are we starting to get some ideas that will allow you to turn around and fly out the door and get outside instead of buzzing against the window all the time? Yes or no? You okay? Good. All right. So I'm going to ask you guys, by the way, I just thought of something. Before we're done, because now we're on number 5, 6, and 7. We've only got 3 more to go. We're more than halfway. I'm going to ask a couple of you, what's one thing that you'll take from today's session that you'll do differently for 2018. So be thinking about something you say, you know, I like that idea about the little thermometer on the wall. Or I like that idea about a minimum number of 20 contacts a day, or whatever. Okay? All right. Where are we going here? Oh yes, this is great. Now we're getting into mindset. You got to fill up your tank every day to show that you're motivated and that you're pumped up. So think about this for a second. You really need to work, so this is point number 22. You really need to work on your motivation every day. Because as I said earlier when I asked you, there's lots of times we don't feel like doing it, right? Have you ever had one of those buyers that drives you crazy and you just think, oh, I don't even want to get them in the car, and here it is, it's another Saturday and I got to take this bozo out and show him stuff, right? That ever happened? Okay, well I got 2 solutions for you. One would be drive them to Sudbury and drop them off and come home and don't show them anything. That would be one solution. But the other, you like that? The other one would be get motivated, get pumped up, and sell them something so that they can get what they want. So point number 22 says you have to work on your motivation every day. Because you've got to fill up your tank every day. There was a book written years ago by a fellow by the name of Dr. John Gray, and it was called Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And it came out a long time ago, and it was a book that sold wildly. It was all about the difference between men and women. So my wife Gloria bought that book, and she said, and she read it, and she said, oh, you got to read this. Well, I didn't think it was a great book, but anyway, I read it, and there was some good stuff in there about how I should treat Gloria better. I think that's why she gave it to me, right? Right? But anyway, in the book, what Dr. Gray said, the thing that I remember more than anything else was, he says that every day, Sam, we start out and our tank is full. And by the end of the day, because of all the things that go on, including just hard work, our tank gets emptied. You guys know what I mean? And our ability to deal with the tough things in this business goes down as the day goes on. So we've got to make sure that we refill our tank all the time. Make sense so far? Okay, this is huge. This is really huge. So I don't like to be considered as a motivational speaker, but I sure wouldn't want you to leave here thinking, boy, I'm really going to have a bad year this year. Thanks for reminding me, Bruce. Like, I want you to be pumped up. So we've got to fill up our tank. So one of the things I put in there was, remember to fill up your tank, no radio in your car during the day. Listen to good stuff. Look at the podcasts we can listen to now. You can listen to podcasts all day long when you're in the car. And there's some fabulous stuff, right? Or you can look at, when you're back in your office or at home, you can look at TED Talks. You guys know what TED Talks is, right? TED Talks? If you don't know what it is, write it down and Google it. TED, T-E-D, it stands for technology, entrepreneurial, and design. Those three things, TED Talks. And there's fabulous stuff in there from very, very special people. So, just as an example, one I looked at the other day, I've seen it like 10 times. It's by a lady by the name of Mel Robbins. Mel Robbins, R-O-B-B-I-N-S. And it's called The 5-Second Rule. She wrote a book called The 5-Second Rule. Anybody familiar with that? With that topic? And what the 5-second rule is she says if you don't decide to do the right thing within 5 seconds, you'll come up with something else that's a big excuse so you don't do the right thing. Okay? So that was what that was all about. Mel Robbins, R-O-B-B-I-N-S. Check it out, it's fabulous. But it's just an example of how you can fill up your tank every day. Okay. So one of the things that we do, of course, is we do coaching. And the coaching is, I do motivate people in coaching. We keep going, help them get successful, and it works. Next, make a lot of the things that you want to use to fill up your tank, make them visual. So how many people here have a dream board? What's your name, this lady right here? What's your first name? Meredith? So Meredith, good for you, you have a dream board. Why do you have a dream board? The vision. So what? Keep going, you're on the right track. Because it's visual, you get excited. I've got a dream board. You should have a dream board, it's easy to do. By the way, you guys have probably already figured it out. Excuse me for reaching across here. This is me here. You know that. That motivates me. Okay. Anyway, for example, your personal goals. This book here, I write out my personal goals every single day. I got 9 of them right now. They change, but there's 9 of them. And I write them out today, and I wrote them out yesterday, and I wrote them out the day before. Day after day after day after day. Why am I doing that? To remind myself, like Meredith says, of what it is and why I'm doing it. Make sense? This is just my method. You can have your own method, but make sure that you do something to keep reminding yourself. You see this little card here? It's laminated. Those 9 goals in my book, that's them. I write them out every morning. Well, Bruce, that sounds boring. No, it isn't. It fires me up. And I look at my dream board. And I think about my grandchildren, and I think about the house Gloria and I are renovating right now, and the things, and I got a picture on there of Montenegro, where we're going to go in May, and all this stuff, right? That's what gets you fired up. And you guys have all got those things too. Get them on a dream board. Next one. Number 24. Oh yeah, you got to protect yourself. Protect your self-confidence. Does anybody have any negative people in their lives? We all do, right? Those are the same people you should drive to Sudbury and drop them off, right? But seriously, we've got to stay away from the negative influences. So here's some examples of things you should avoid. Number 25. There's no fill in the blanks here. These are potholes. These are things that will screw you up. Look at the very first one. Vampire buyers, right? They'll suck the life out of you. So if they're not serious and they're not qualified, get rid of them. And I don't mean to be mean, but for heaven's sake, you're not in real estate to drive people around and show them property that they can't afford. Right? And look at all the other ones here. Avoid morning interruptions. We already talked about the fact that you have to make 10 to 20 contacts minimum every single day, 5 days a week. But then don't have interruptions. You see that one there says not getting on the weigh scale? That doesn't mean don't get on the weigh scale in your house. It means not tracking your results. So the weigh scale is you tracking. Remember I talked to you about the whiteboard? How am I doing so far this month? That's the weigh scale. If you're not using that, then you're hiding. So why do you think it is that people that are overweight don't want to get on the weigh scale? Because they don't want to see what it tells them, right? So I got on the weigh scale on January 3rd. It said I weighed 193 pounds. I'm supposed to weigh 185. As a matter of fact, my very first goal in here says maintain weight at 185 pounds. So I'm 8 pounds over. I didn't like that. But if I didn't get on the weigh scale, I'd still be eating, I don't know, poutine or something every day, right? Okay, you guys with me? All right, so stay away from the negative factors in your life. Your mindset, I will tell you right now, 90% of your sales success, 90% is dependent upon you having a strong mindset. You'd say, well, yeah, but what about my skills, and what about how hard I work and everything? Look, if you don't have a good, strong mindset and you're mentally tough, you're screwed. You've got to have it. So I would say, you might say number 5 here is the most important point of all 7. Okay? Now, I just want to pass a thought along to you. There's something called the chameleon effect. And the chameleon effect is how you portray yourself to other people. So think about this for a second. If someone is excited, how do the other people react? They feel excited too. That's the chameleon effect. The chameleon changes color depending on the circumstances. So if you're excited, and I don't mean jumping up and down and like that, I just mean that you're powerful and that you're confident and you feel, say to yourself, you know what? I've got a good message here and these guys are lucky that I'm working with them. I want you to think that all the time. These guys are lucky that I'm working with them. And guess what? You know what? They are lucky that you're working with them. So everybody wins. So the chameleon effect is if you give off positive influences, they'll feel the same way. So for example, one of the things you should be doing is listening to this package we have. So on that table we have over there, we sell this package. It's scripts and dialogues. It's called All the Right Words. It's got 286 scripts and dialogues. Some of you already have this package. It's got CDs, and it's got every single script you could possibly think of for real estate in one package. So if you're interested, just come by to the table down there. You can at least have a look at it. And you can also buy it online if you want, so whatever. But I'm just telling you, this is the kind of thing that's going to change the way you feel about who you are and your confidence. Also, we have, I think everybody's probably got a copy of this, we've got a brochure that you guys all got for this 2-day event we've got coming up. If you're interested, go online and check it out. It's called Real Estate Sales Talk. It's 2 days, and it's at the end of February. It's February 28th and March 1st. And it's going to be over in Vaughan, Highway 7 and 27. It's pretty easy to get to. And the price for the 2 days, I'm going to be coaching you personally. I'm going to be coaching you personally for the 2 days. And the price is $199, but we're reducing the price to $149 up until, I think it's the 21st or the 16th, whatever it is. But if you're interested, register. I guarantee you, you will leave there very powerfully prepared for 2018. And there's only going to be about 100 people here. We're not going for a whole bunch. I want to keep it intimate in the sense that I can help you individually. Okay. Did everybody get a copy of that brochure, by the way? Okay. Check it out. I'll guarantee you we'll have way more than 100 people that will apply. I want to cut it off so we can have a very close-knit group. And a lot of our coaching clients are going to be coming there, so you'll be working with some really high-level people at a good level for you. Okay, number 6. We only got 2 more to go, right? Are you guys counting down? Are you starting to think of a couple of things that you can take on differently this year so you can get better results? Yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, great. Number 6 says, expectations are everything. Expectations are everything. So, isn't that a great picture, by the way? Isn't that terrific? There's a guy who wants to, he's going to sell 100 homes this year, and he's only been in the business 6 months. Isn't that cool? Okay. This is really an important one to be conscious of so that you can run your business like a business. So here we go. Let me explain this to you. If you have the right expectations, it will help you get through when things are tough. It'll help you get through the tough times. So, Lawrence, you still there, buddy? Okay, good man. So let me ask you a question. Let's say do you have a wife? Do you have a family? No. Both? No. Okay.
I'm available.
You're available. Okay. So Lawrence is available. I'm going to tell them a story about Lawrence, and whoever's interested, you can join up, okay? So Lawrence,
Yes.
let's say you plan on going to Jamaica for a week, right? And you get on the plane, you're all excited, you've got your bathing suit, you got everything ready, and you get there, and it's raining, okay? And you think, oh, jeepers, that's not very nice. Oh well, I'll get checked in and everything. And so he gets to the hotel, checks in, gets to his room, unpacks his stuff, and it's still raining. And the next day it's raining, and it never stops for a whole week. How's he going to feel? Well, Lawrence, I'll ask you, how are you going to feel about the weather in Jamaica? Lousy, right. Now, what was his expectation? That it was going to be sunny. He was leaving Canada and the snow so he could have a good time in Jamaica, in the sun. So his expectation was up here. It wasn't met. So he was unhappy, correct? Now, Lawrence, if you went on 10 listing presentations and you listed 7 or 8 of them, would you be happy?
Yes.
Yes, that's a good expectation to have. If you went on 10 listing presentations and only listed 2, how would you feel?
Okay.
No. Lawrence has got his brain sogged from all that rain, right? No, you'd feel crappy. You'd think, I should be getting 6 or 7 at least out of those 10. Everybody agree with me? By the way, one of the seminars we're going to be doing this year is called Listing Presentations, How to List 80% of the Appointments You Go On. Lawrence, you better be there. We'll have you sitting right here beside me up on stage, okay? But seriously, I'm going to show you guys how to do that. Anyway, it's all about expectations. If you came to this seminar and I didn't give you good information, you'd be disappointed because you expected to learn something and figure out how to make more money, right? Okay, good. So, I'm just changing pages. Let me give you some realistic expectations. I promised you earlier in the pitch that I would do that. Let me give you some realistic expectations. Apparently Sam has to go to the washroom. Sam, just go behind there. Nobody will notice. Okay? Do you want to do a break? Okay, so guys, let me... Yeah, I got 3 more points on this point. Do you guys want a break? You okay? All right. There, everybody, if you look under your chair, you'll see, there's a curtain there, right? There's a little pot underneath the chair. So is it okay to keep going? They said it's fine. Oh, for the draw. Oh, now I thought he had to have a pee. somebody's going to be able to quit the business as soon as they find out what's going on here. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, now we are going to run the lucky draw. The lucky draw is, first is the CIBC will have a 500 Home Depot cash card. There is one car per person. If we find the 2 cars, you will be suspended forever. Okay, the first one is the CIBC 500 Home Depot cash card. Oh, 100.
Mosen or medium?
Okay, the next one. Tony, who is the next? The second isn't. Yeah, it's right.
If anyone wants to just drop more for this card.
There's only 1 car each person. I think everyone is already put the car. Yeah, you bring your the gift, right? This is your draw for you. Okay, hi everyone. Today we will hand 1,000 actually magnet calendars to the winner. You can peel here and stick your business card and hand to your customers for free. And also today everyone is winner because you can grab one of these coupons for 15% off for all of your orders for signed and printing. Okay,
I'll ask someone to take one.
Okay, the winner is Xu Chaohui. Anthony Xu. Anthony. Yeah, they will sign up for the big prize. Okay, the next one I think is National Bank. Yeah, they will provide gift card, I think.
Hi, my name is Monica Lee. I have with me today is a Serena, the mortgage specialist. So our booth is over there. In case you have any question, please come over and talk to us. I have a gift card today. Is your favorite coffee, Tim Horton? Maggie Queen.
Maggie. Where's Maggie? Oh, Maggie. Maggie Queen. Yeah.
Okay, this is the first round for the lucky draw. We will have a next round around 1 o'clock. Now we have a 15 minutes for break. After break? No? Oh, you don't need a break, right? No. Our 5 minutes.
Okay, we got, thank you, Sam. I got 15 more minutes, that's it. Can you guys handle that? Okay. Great, remember that part we talked about, I think it was number 2, what's it going to take? You just have to wait 15 more minutes, and we're done, okay? Okay, good. And then you guys can go to the booths, okay? All right, so I want to give you these expectations. I want you to be able to see what's reality. And that'll make it easier for you to deal with tough times. So this is point number 29. Everybody got point number 29? Okay, great. So think about expectations and how this is going to help you deal with things. To have the right expectations, you must know your numbers. So here's some examples. The first one is, you should expect that you will, once you get prospecting, you could make, on the average, 10 contacts an hour. So if you had to do 20 contacts, it would take you typically 2 hours. Now sometimes it might take you 2.5, and other times it might take you an hour and 3/4. But that's the first one. The second one is, for every 75 to 100 contacts, you should be able to get 1 listing appointment. 75 to 100 contacts will get you a listing appointment. 2 listing appointments should equal 1 listing taken. Now some of you get better than that, okay? But on the average, if you went on 10 appointments, you should be able to list 5. Okay? Does that make sense? All right, good. 10 listings taken in this market, it might be different than this, but on the average, it would be 7 listings sold. 10 listings taken, 7 listings sold. Now, I remember asking somebody this question a few months ago, and I said, if you took 10 lists, this is in the Toronto market back last year, right? I say in March. I said, if you took 10 listings, how many would sell? They said 11, right? Right, Sam? Right. And I think that's probably true, but the reality is 6 or 7 or 8 out of 10 is about realistic. And it isn't because they all don't sell because they're bad listings. Sometimes they change their mind and they take them off the market, right? Okay, the last one is, this is an interesting one. I want you to pay attention to this last one for your planning. When you're planning your results this year, if you take 1 listing, you'll get 1 sale. If you take 30 listings, you'll get 30 sales. Now, they all won't be sellers. Some of them will be buyers. Does this make sense? So, I said 10 listings taken equals 7 listings sold, but 10 listings taken would equal 10 deals. So if you said, so for example, Sam, how many deals are you going to do this year? 36? That's because I used that number before. He was just thinking, he wrote it down, right? He had no idea. Right? Okay, so he's going to do 136 deals this year. A coaching tip to you from me would be, then you need to take 36 listings. And if he takes 36 listings, you guys know where I'm going here, right? If he takes 36 listings, he will end up with 36 sales, even though some of them will be buyers. Everybody got that idea? I'm getting some blank stares there. Any question on that one? You guys okay? All right, good. So whatever your number is that you wrote down way back when we started out about how many deals you're going to do, that's how many listings you need to go on and you need to take. Now, if you specialize in buyers, that's totally different, but this is just for a normal real estate practice. Okay, everybody okay so far? Great. The next thing I want to show you is lead conversion expectations. But before I get there, I just want to help you understand something. Sometimes when I start coaching somebody, just to help you understand about expectations, sometimes when I start coaching somebody, one of the things they will say to me after 2 weeks, they'll say, okay, Bruce, so we're on a coaching call, right? And they'll say to me, well, okay, that's fine, Bruce, but that stuff you've told me to do, I've been doing it, it doesn't work. And I'll say, okay, no problem. It doesn't work. Tell me what you've been doing. So we go through it all. And the reality is that their expectations aren't realistic. They said, I've been prospecting for 2 weeks. I said, so what should have happened? Oh, I should have got 3 or 4 deals by now. Geez. Well, that's not realistic. Does that make sense? So I just want you to help you understand that you have to have realistic expectations, but if you do the right things on so this is important. If you do the right things on an ongoing basis, 5 days a week, plus, you know, the open houses and the stuff we do on the weekends, but if you do the right things 5 days a week, you will get your great results. I'll guarantee it. It happens over and over and over, and I've been coaching people. I've coached well over 1,500 people one-on-one. I'm talking about just me and them, right? And I see it over and over. I had a fellow at Home Life Miracle last year by the name of Satish, and he did 10 deals up to the end of July, 10 deals. And he came to me in July of last year and said, can you help me? I think I should be doing better. And I said, well, let's find out what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. So we went through all that. I started coaching him. In the next 5 months, so up until December, so from August to December, he did 18 more deals. 10 deals in 7 months, 18 deals in 5 months. All it was him doing the right thing on an ongoing basis. You guys can do all that stuff. There's no magic here, right? It's just do it. And that's what today's seminar is all about, is just making sure you're doing the right things. Okay, let's go to lead conversion, and then we'll go to the last point. Lead conversion, point number 31. Sorry, point number 30. Thank you. Who said 30? You guys are keeping on track. Thanks very much, right? You'll have to go on tour with me to help me with this stuff. I get confused. Okay. Lead conversion, everybody. Internet leads. Now think about this. An internet lead that is only one way, meaning that you respond to them, but they don't get back to you. You with me?
Yes.
Okay, so they ask a question, you answer it, and they don't respond. That's it. There's only a 2 to 4% conversion factor. If it's a two-way communication, but it's not personal contact, so it's text or email, then it is a 6 to 8% conversion factor. Okay, so far? It doesn't mean it's bad, it just means that's reality. It doesn't mean, well, if I had said something different in my text, they would have driven over to my office and asked to sign a document. No, it doesn't work that way. You guys know that. How many people know that internet leads are great, but the ratios are lower? Yes or no? You guys agree with me there? Sure. Okay, then look at the last one. If you take that internet lead and you convert that into personal contact where you're on the phone or face-to-face, it jumps to 20 to 30% or even higher. Now, all I want you to be comfortable with is knowing those ratios. Does that make sense? You don't have to worry about, okay, well, what's the trick for changing that? You don't change that, because if you're not connecting with them, there's no change. Okay? So, do everything you can to get in touch with them personally one way or another. For example, let's say there was an internet inquiry on a particular property and they were asking you a question about, I don't know, the basement. You said, yes, the basement is finished, and they put a lovely wet bar in there and a sound system. Then you would say, there's more to share with you on this. What's the best phone number for me to reach you at? That's one of the ways of converting. What's the best phone number for me to reach you at? So that you can make the personal contact. And by the way, they're lucky if they give it to you, because now they're going to be dealing with somebody that knows what they're doing. Are there a lot of people out there that don't know what they're doing? Okay, I'm going to ask, hold it. You guys, I've lost you. Are there not, well, I'll ask it another way. Are there not, there's over 50,000 agents registered with TREB right now. 50,000, okay? Do you think there might be a whole bunch of them that don't know what they're doing? Yes or no? Yes. Thank you. I will guarantee you that that's true, okay? It's not you guys. So I just want you to get in touch with these people so that you can help them. They need you. They need you. You don't need them as bad as they need you. Okay. Shall we go to the last one? Shall we go to the last one? Right. Okay. Stay with me, guys. Stay with me. Oh, by the way, this is point number 31. We'll do this real quick, and then we'll go to the last one. The law of repetition says the more you do something, the better you'll get at doing it. That's pretty straightforward. So all these athletes do the same thing over and over and over. So the more often, you know, expectations are important. You've got to be on top of your expectations. At the same time, you have to keep doing the work day after day. Get good at handling the repetition and keep doing it over and over. And that will give you, the repetition will give you better results. Okay. Like for example, this seminar that I'm doing right now, I've done this seminar before, but I was still up this morning at 6 o'clock rehearsing because I want to make sure that I do a great job. It's not because, it's not that tough, this material is not that tough, but I want to make sure that I'm giving you information that you can use and that you go ahead and do it. So I do the same thing as you, repetition, over and over and over. Okay, last point. Step number 7, this is a really fascinating point. And what step number 7 says is you have to be able to sleep when the wind blows. What it really means is, are you running your business in a smooth way? Have you got a system to run your business on, or you just react every time the phone rings or every time you get a text? So let me tell you a little story. There was a guy that owned a ranch out in Western Canada, say in Alberta, and he was hiring somebody else to come and work with him. He wanted to hire a new supervisor, a new foreman to run the ranch. So he interviewed some various people, and he came up with this one guy that he kind of liked, and he said to him, "Why should I hire you?" And the guy said, "Well, because I can sleep when the wind blows." Well, he didn't know what he meant, but he was fine, so he hired this guy. 2 weeks later, everybody's sleeping in the bunkhouse, and the guy that owns the ranch is in the main house, and there's this big storm comes up, huge storm. The wind's blowing, and it's raining, and there's lightning, it's the middle of the night and everything. And so the guy that owns the ranch gets kind of scared, and he sticks his head out and sees that the bunkhouse and everything's all closed up. Those guys aren't out there looking after things. And he thinks, holy jeez, what's wrong with this guy? So he runs over there, puts on his raincoat, runs over, and he goes inside and says, "What are you doing?" The guy's sleeping, right? He said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm sleeping." And he said, "We got this huge storm, there may be tornadoes coming." He said, "We've got thousands and thousands of dollars invested here, and you're sleeping." He says, "Yeah, I told you when you hired me." He said, "The cattle are put away, the cattle and the livestock are safely in the barn, The crops are covered over with tarpaulins. That's not going to get wet. All the windows the shutters are closed. Everything's locked tight. Everything's fine. I told you I could sleep when the wind blows. That's because he's running the business the way it's. You guys with me? You need to do the same thing with your business. I need to do the same thing with my business. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Here's some questions on point number 32. What would Steve Jobs say if we asked these questions? Like, how well are you prepared for success, right? Are you running your business like a business? And so Dave and Tony, they're running the business like a business. You guys have got this huge operation. It's the largest, I believe it's the largest one in Toronto, and it's amazing. And it's being run like a business. So let's look at some examples. Here's 3 questions for you to ask yourself about your business in case Steve Jobs came back from the grave and asked you the same question. So here we are. First one, do you have a clear business plan with measurable targets? Well, if you go way back to where we started out this morning, the answer is yes. Because you have a plan that says, here's my measurable targets. Here's what I need to accomplish this year to be successful. Right? You've got those targets. So if I go back to, and I won't ask you the number, but the nice lady, excuse me for pointing, right there with a nice white sweater. Yeah, do you know exactly how many deals you're going to do this year? To say yes? Oh, you're going to tell us it's 20. Good for you. Excellent. Okay, everybody should be able to answer that question like that. Thank you. Good job. Okay, I want to make sure that the answer is yes, you have a plan. Number 2, are you really committed? Or is it just something you say and then you go back to normal after the seminar and nothing changes? Are you going to keep flying into that window, bzz, 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 or are you committed to turning around and doing something special that are different like we're talking about today? The third question is, do you have minimum standards? Boy, is this ever important. Do you have minimum standards that would show if you did your job? And there's 3 things down there that I wrote down that are pretty important. A minimum standard, Larry, would be what time you get up every day. What time you get up. So for me, it's 6 o'clock. Every day, it's 6 o'clock. And if I don't feel like it, or like last night, I had to drive 4 hours to get here because Gloria and I, we live up north, up in Muskoka. So it took us a long time, but anyway, that's not a problem. I still had to get up today at 6 o'clock so I could rehearse this, right? That's a minimum standard. The second one is what time you actually start work. And the third one is my minimum number of contacts per day. So, again, excuse me for pointing. Gentlemen, right there, nice tie, by the way. Do you know what your minimum number of contacts is per day that you've got to do? If you picked a number? 15? 50 contacts per day. 50. That's amazing. Good for you. Congratulations. So that will take you 3.5 to 4.5 hours, right? Great. But you'll do it. How many deals are you going to do this year? You'll do more than that if you do 50 contacts. Seriously. Now, when you say 50 contacts, we're talking about conversations with decision-making adult, right? Good. That's amazing. I asked the right guy, didn't I? What's your name? Kevin. Kevin's going to come with me on tour, and I'm just going to... You're going too, right? I'm going to ask Kevin, and he'll always be there. I'll say, let me just pick somebody. You in the back there. How many contacts? And he'll say, 50. 50. And then the next seminar, we'll go to the next place. Good, that's perfect. Thank you. Okay. There's the 3 questions. Now the next one is number 33. It talks about something called, this is fascinating. This may be the best thing you get from me today, for some of you. It's called the Keystone Habit. And the Keystone Habit is when you do that one thing, everything else falls into place. You with me? So I've got a book here, one of my favorite books of all time, is called The Power of Habit. If you don't buy any other book as a result of meeting me, get this book, The Power of Habit. It sounds kind of boring, but one of my coaching clients told me about it. I went and got it. I've now got it on audio. I've got it on Kindle. I've got it on everything. It's amazing. But what Charles Duhigg says in this book is that we all have something called a keystone habit. Keystone. And the keystone habit is the one that kicks everything else off. So I'll tell you a quick story so you'll understand what I mean by keystone. I had this guy in Waterdown that I coach. His name is Andrew. And he was having trouble getting on the phone doing his prospecting in the morning at 9 o'clock. He said, I'm having trouble. I said, okay, what time do you have to be at the office? So I figured, let's see what's going on here. He said, I got to be here by 8:30 to do that. I said, okay. What time would you have to leave home? He lives in Hamilton area there. He said, I'd have to leave the house by 8. I said, so what time would you have to get up then? So what he said, Kevin, was I'd have to be up at 6:30 to leave by 8, to be there by 8:30, to be on the phone by 9. So I said, is that your keystone habit, 6:30? He said, no. He said, if I don't go to bed by 10:30, you guys know where I'm going here, right? If I don't go to bed by 10:30, what? He doesn't get up at 6:30, correct? So then I said, I said to him, so is that your keystone habit? He said, yeah. And then he said, actually, no. And he stopped. He said, my keystone habit is if I don't turn the TV off by 10, I don't go to bed by 10:30. I don't get up at 6:30. I don't leave at 8. I don't get there by 8:30. I don't get on the phone by 9. Does that make sense? So his keystone habit, right here, is what? Turn the TV off by 10 p.m. And everything else works. So for me, I'm going to strangle myself here. My keystone habit is writing up my goals every morning at 6:05. Get up at 6, go to the washroom, and then write your goals out, Bruce. Bang! That gets me going. Everybody's got a different one. It's okay. But you should figure out what it is. Because what do you think happens when you figure, Melody, what do you think happens when you do figure it out? Everything happens, and you guys ever had one of those days that everything's just great, bang, 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 bang? That's because your keystone habit kicked everything off. So can I give you a suggestion on how to do this? The next time you have a great day, the next time, so gentlemen in front of Larry in the maroon sweater there, right there, sir, you. Just nudge that guy in front of you. No. That guy. No, behind. That guy, yeah, what's your name? Andrew? Perfect. So Andrew, I'm not going to embarrass you, but the next time you have a great day, the next time you have a terrific day, I want you to think back, everybody, same idea, think back to what happened, bang, 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 in your day. So go backwards, Andrew, right? And then whatever came out, you say, that's what started it, that was it. You know, I'll make something silly up. I had a banana at 6:30 in the morning, and when I did have that banana, everything else worked. You guys with me? Isn't that awesome? This could be one of the best things I leave you with today, because when you do that, everything else works. It's sort of like magic. Okay, everybody got the idea what the keystone habit? Perfect. That's sleeping when the wind blows, because everything works. Okay, next one. Get some accountability. So that's number 34. You've got to get some accountability. Now, accountability is like me holding you accountable. So if I was coaching Kevin, he'd be checking in with me every day to report how many contacts he did. Seriously. And I've got all kinds of people doing that. I've got people send me emails every morning. I got Emilio, in Oshawa. He phones me every morning at 6:15. I got Vlad, sends me an email every night at 10 to say I'm going to bed. I've got Mike in Hamilton, that's another guy in Hamilton, who phones me at 9 o'clock to say, I'm just pulling in the parking lot at the office. That's accountability. Doing what you have to do and getting someone to hold you accountable. Do you guys know that when you're driving down the street, or the highway is probably better, and there's a police car behind you, do you drive differently? Yeah. Sam, that's accountability, right? There's nothing wrong. That's who we are, right? People operate differently when they're being held accountable, right? People operate differently when they're being held accountable. Get some accountability. Now, you say, well, Bruce, you're trying to sell me the coaching. That's just one form of accountability. There's all kinds of it. But you need to have accountability so that you do the things you need to do on the days you're supposed to do it. Okay, we're almost done. You guys okay? Just wrapping up now. This is point number 35 I'm going to get to. So the question is, have you got some ideas about you flying in the right direction? I'm going to ask you, some of you, about what you might do differently. So number 35 says, isn't it time to get out of no man's land? This is a definition I got from Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins said no man's land is where most people spend all their time. They're not really happy, but they're not unhappy enough to do anything about it. Right? It's sort of like, oh, I'm getting by, everything's okay. Well, that's dumb. That's what average people do. We don't want average, right? Do we want better? Please say yes. Okay. All right. Excellent. Andrew, you know how many deals you're going to do this year, right? Good man. Is it more than last year? Right. That's because he's going beyond. Second one, 36. Get some accountability. Get someone to hold you accountable. And like in our coaching, for example, we have a 30-day coaching program. It's not 12 months. There's no contract. I'll hold you accountable to do the things we need to do. Number 37. Use the momentum that we've got right now that you take away with you to get you to where you want to go. So let me ask you a couple of questions from you guys. I'm just going to put this slide up and then I want to ask you what you're doing or what you want to do differently. We have this package. I'll be at my booth. You'll see it there. And it costs $200, $300. We put it on for the event for $249. I've also got some cards there that you can invest in for prospecting and for buyers and things. They're like a pack of 10. They're all different scripts. You can buy them for 2 packs for $10. You can have a look when you can buy. Anyway, I'll be there. But here's my question. So let's talk about what you're going to do. So, first name again? Harnell? Yeah, so Harnell, what's one thing you're going to take from today? I'm going to ask 2 or 3 of you the same question. What's one thing you're going to take from today that you're going to do differently? I am different. So what would you do then to show them that you're different? There was 2 ideas in there now. Work on your marketing plan, right? And then work on the delivery. Yeah? Does that make sense? So good choice. That would be huge. Because if you don't show them you're different, then guess what happens to your commission? It gets cut. If you're not different, there's no value. They go for the cheap car. Okay, good job. With the prompting, by the way. Okay, who else? Who else has got an idea? Go ahead. Visualize your goals. Absolutely. You've got to know what you're doing and where you're going and why. Right? That's a great one. Okay. Who else have we got? The lady. The lady that answered before. Sorry, I forgot your name. Yes. Mushka. So Mushka, what's one thing you'll do differently? Improve your number of contacts? What's your minimum per day going to be? Don't say 50. That's his number. 15? Awesome. Get somebody to hold you accountable to that 15. Whether it's a coach or whatever it is, get someone to hold your feet to the fire. Okay? Good job. Okay, one more. We got one more. Anybody? First name? Carrie. Yes? More personal contact. And what are you going to do with your 30-day leads? You're going to put them on hot pink, right? Perfect. Don't forget that idea, by the way. It's a great little idea. And you think, well, that's kind of hokey. I will tell you, you will never lose a good lead again. Good job, Carrie. Okay, just wrapping up, guys. If you're interested in the coaching, here's what you do. The coaching that I have, it works. And it's $99 to $9.95 a month. But the bottom line is this. If you're interested, send me an email. You can get a hold of me easy. Just find out my website and then click on it. Or you can send me an email and I'll set up a call with you and we'll do a free call to see if there's a fit. I don't have a ton of room on the coaching, but I do take on 2 or 3 people every once in a while. So there's an example for you. Okay, that's that. The last thing is, if you're interested, think about the workshop, because it will change your life. What I will tell you right now is, if you come to that workshop, you'll get 8 seminars in 2 days. You'll rub shoulders with a bunch of other high producers, number 1. And number 2, I will personally change the way your business runs in a very positive way. I'll give you what you need, and because you'll be asking me about you on a personal level, not just in a seminar. Okay, I'm going to the booth. If you guys need anything, I'll be there. But more importantly, you guys did a great job today. Congratulations. Thank you.